Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm Parker Allison. If you read today's title, then you know today's video is all about coming off the pill. I do want to go a little bit in depth on my personal journey. And again, this video is just my personal experience. Everyone's body is different. This is in no way, shape, or form medical advice. So everything that I talk about today in my video, I do recommend that you do your own research and make sure that your plan works for your body. So the first thing that I want to talk about is my journey of going onto the pill. I was one of these people that was very much all about organic and doing things the natural way. I was very against birth control pills. I didn't want to put artificial hormones in my body, and I ended up doing it because I had so much pain and I was desperate to find another alternative. When I first got my period, I was 11 years old. I was very young, and I had kind of the normal symptoms that young girls get when they first start their period, like lots of cramps, really bad headaches. I had some migraine, but nothing was what the pain kind of turned into as the years went on. Pretty much what happened was I did develop an eating disorder when I was 15 years old, and I lost my period from about 16 until about 18 or 19. So I had such a low body fat percentage that my body did not have enough estrogen, and when you don't have enough estrogen, you don't have a period. That means I wasn't ovulating, so there was no pain. Shortly after, I did gain some weight back and I did get my period back, and then that's kind of when my pain started and came back with a vengeance. If I could describe to you what my endo pain feels like, it's kind of like being stabbed with a hot poker in your uterus. I would be driving and out of nowhere I get like these contractual meaning like they kind of come and go very quickly, very sporadically, sharp shooting pains to where I would be gripping my steering wheel waiting for them to pass. So I started getting those, and they were always like right before my period. And then they started becoming more frequent to where they were literally all month long. Another symptom that I would have is the endo bloat, is what people like to call it. You just get very bloated, you almost look like you're pregnant, and that's usually when I'm ovulating. I also get pain in the rectal area, and then I also get pain in my bladder. You can only be diagnosed with endometriosis with a laparoscopic procedure where they actually go in and they can see the lesions. I have not had that procedure. I don't plan on having that procedure unless I have infertility issues and I need to have lesions burned off, and that's when I would go through that type of surgery. I don't really feel like it's necessary if I'm able to manage it without having to have surgery. My biggest problem with my endo pain was when I would go pee on my period. It was usually day 1 or 2. It felt like shards of glass when I would pee. I almost passed out in the shower multiple times. It was just horrible. I kind of was like, I don't know what to do, but this is getting to be excruciatingly painful and it's interrupting my daily life. Advil wasn't even touching it on a pain scale, and I have a very, very high pain tolerance, and Advil was like I was taking sugar pills. Sorry, my dog is like whining at me. What I ended up doing was going to my doctor, and she says, you know, I think you have endometriosis. Of course, the only way to medically diagnose you is to have the surgery, but I know you have it, and let's see what we can do. So of course she recommended the pill. It's like the first thing that your doctors recommend is to get on the pill. So I did my own research. I was like, you know, I really feel like the pill is just not for me. And I told her this, and I was like, I feel like I'm very sensitive to hormones and I just don't want to go down that route. She totally respected my decision, and she told me to potentially try bioidentical hormones, which is progesterone. Bioidentical because she thought, of course, if you know, endometriosis is an estrogen-driven disease. So when you have too much estrogen and not enough progesterone, that's also when the lesions can form and you can experience those symptoms. So she wanted to give me bioidentical progesterone, which is man-made, but it's very, very similar to the progesterone that you make in your body, to see if that would help. I hated that pill. It literally gave me night sweats, horrible nightmares. Like I would wake up almost screaming because of the nightmares. I just couldn't take it. Of course, I went back to like my herbal stuff. I was like, what can I do? There has to be some type of herbal supplement that I can take that's gonna help me. I did find this tea by Yogi, and it was called Moon Cycle. And I did all this research on it. I read every review possible, and people were like, this really helps me with my cycle. I didn't see a lot of reviews about endo, but I was like, well, let me just give it a try. Something that I do want to say before I go any further about endometriosis is that endometriosis is not just a bad period, and it is not period cramps. This is a chronic disease, and it is something that is excruciatingly painful and interferes with daily life. There is a very distinct difference between having period cramps and having endometriosis lesions that are causing inflammation and all of this pain that you experience during your cycle and when you're off your cycle. So I just want to make that distinction, because a lot of people say, oh, you're just having cramps. It's not cramps by any means. And I feel like that discredits a lot of women who are going through endometriosis by just blowing them off and saying, oh, well, you're just having a painful period. Take some Advil, take some Midol. It's not that simple. I feel like if you're telling anybody that, then you need to do some research on your own, because it's very insensitive. Oh, back to what I was saying. So I did this research on this yogi tea, and it looked really promising. I drank, I feel like, 3 to 4 cups a day, and every time I would make a cup, I would use 2 tea bags in each cup. And so I started drinking it like 2 weeks before my period. It took a few months, but I noticed a significant difference in my pain. And I was like, this is the only thing that I've done different. And I don't have that pain when I go pee. I don't have as bad sharp shooting pains, contractual pains that I would have, you know, in previous months before I tried this tea. So I really can say that when I put on a pain scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the worst pain, it took me from a 10 to like a 3 or a 4, this tea. It was significant. Well, you probably are asking me, well, why did you get off of this tea? Well, they discontinued it. So I was going to Whole Foods, I went to Sprouts, I went to H-E-B, everywhere that I would normally buy this tea, and it was gone. So of course I had like a little stash in my kitchen, but of course when I went through all of that, it was like nowhere to be found. My fiance actually bought it for me online from this really sketchy website, and of course we never got the tea. So it's no longer being made. I've contacted Yogi online. I've messaged them, I've DM'd them, I've emailed them, and I did get a response back from them, and they just said it was discontinued and they're not going to be remaking it to try like their other teas that they have. I got so desperate about trying to find my way into managing my pain naturally that I was just hitting a wall every time. Every month would come by and I was in excruciating pain, and it just was not, it wasn't sustainable for me. So I did take the plunge and I did try a few birth controls until I found one that actually sat pretty well with me, and it's called low estrin FE, and I have it here to show you. And as you can see, I literally stopped in the middle of a cycle. This was my last pack. I did not call my doctor about it, which I wouldn't recommend doing. I would probably talk to your doctor. And I just stopped it. I went to this meeting with one of the nurses that I work with, and she was telling her story, and I don't even want to get into all of that, but it was just a very personal, enlightening story, and it just made me think like, I need to make a change. The symptoms that I experienced were extreme moodiness. Like anything that was being done in my space would irritate me to the point where like it was ruining my entire day. I was very, very moody. I was so extremely fatigued to where I honestly felt like there was something wrong with me. Like I thought to myself, like, I feel like I have a medical condition that's really bad, because I shouldn't be feeling this sickly in my 20s, in my mid to late 20s. I could wake up in the morning and eat something and go right back to sleep. My whole body felt like fatigued. I would walk through the store and just be like, you know, I just want to go home and go to sleep. I was also in nursing school, and I was in an accelerated program, and it was a very intense, insane program. And yes, that made me extremely tired, but I don't feel like it was to the extent that I was feeling. I did not have acne. I never really have had acne, so I can't say that it was the pill like made me have good skin, because I always had good skin. And then, but it didn't give me any breakouts. I also didn't gain any weight on the pill either. If I didn't have the moodiness and the extreme fatigue, I'd say it was a pretty good birth control pill. Do I prefer to put artificial hormones in my body? No, I don't. But it was something that I was desperate for, and I can tell you my pain was zero. Those were kind of my experiences on the pill. And I just kind of felt like I didn't want to say depressed, but I just didn't feel myself. I felt like I was having an out-of-body experience when I kind of sat back and looked at myself and said, wow, like I don't feel like this is me. I'm gonna get off this pill and I wanna see what my body does and how I feel. Immediately when I got off the pill, within the next few days, I felt back to myself. And I didn't even remember what back to myself felt like until I did it. I got off the pill, and I swear to you, it was like my body remembered my cycles immediately. I took the pill for a little bit over a year. So I want to say it was around 14 months that I was on the pill. So when you look at other women who have been on the birth control pill for like 20 years, I was not one of those. I took it basically to get me through my nursing program. Primarily, my purpose of taking the pill was to manage my pain. It was not to prevent pregnancy. That was just more of an added bonus. When I got off of it, I did not I know you see a lot of things online about like detoxing off the pill. I didn't do any of that. I was just like, I want these hormones out of my body and I want it out now. My sleep got better, my mood got better, my energy levels got better. But let's talk about my pain. Right when I got off the pill, two weeks went by where I literally did nothing. Like I didn't take any herbal supplements. I didn't take anything. But I was researching where to find the ingredients to go back to my old yogi tea that is discontinued. So I found this company called Mountain Rose Herbs, and they literally had every single ingredient in that yogi tea. It was expensive, but mainly because I bought in bulk. I think I bought I'm going to show you all of my ingredients, but I think I bought my stuff I got off the pill in October, and it's been 4 months. Since it's February, but it's lasted me 4 months already. So I think it was over $100, probably like $140 for everything. But I can tell you it's probably gonna last me a good 6 more months. So about 10 months of supplies for that price. And for my pain, I can tell you it is 100% worth it. So I went on Amazon and I bought a little tea kettle. That's glass, it's real cute, and it has a that you can put loose leaf in to infuse your tea, and I will link that down in the description box, as well as the website that I bought all of my ingredients on. And I just started brewing my own tea. I went to the nutrition label, which I'm gonna pop up here, and I was like, well, let me just buy all of these ingredients. Like, obviously if they made this tea, I can make this tea. So before I get into all of the herbs and show you guys kind of what the packaging looks like and how big each thing was, I do want to say that a lot of herbs can interact with a lot of medications. If you are pregnant or breastfeeding or planning to be pregnant, a lot of these herbs are a no-go for that. So definitely do your research, definitely talk to your doctor. It's been such a huge help to me, but again, you have to weigh your risk versus your benefit and decide if that's something that is suitable for you and your lifestyle and what your future and current plans are. So I just want to throw that out there. This is the packaging. It's all organic. This is my raspberry leaf. And as you can see, I got a really big one because this one was pretty cheap. You can literally tell the quality is A+, when you just smell this stuff. So this is 4 ounces and I have still half of it left. So I could say this is probably gonna last me a good 8 months based on how much I have used so far. The next one that I got is parsley leaf. This is also 4 ounces, and this one I would say is going to last me way longer because you don't need much of this at all. One thing that I want to say also is that when you look at the Yogi Tea nutrition label that I got all of these ingredients from, there obviously is not any type of measurement. So it doesn't tell you like a teaspoon of raspberry leaf and like, you know what I mean? So I just eyeball it. I don't have a specific recipe. I use quite a bit of raspberry leaf, quite a bit of ginger, quite a bit of chamomile, And then the other stuff I kind of do a little bit less because it's very strong. The Dong Quai root, I do not do that much either. So just kind of, I eyeball it, and just based on the strength of the herbs is how I determine what and how much I put in my tea. Now I can tell you that when I put all of these things into my little teacup and I brew it, it immediately brought back that smell that I used to have when I would brew my yogi tea. It smells the exact same. So I kind of can tell also by the smell that I'm kind of doing the correct amount. The next one is my chamomile. This one's also 4 ounces, and I have still about half of this one left. I use quite a bit of this because it's a good relaxant as well. And I feel like when your body is more relaxed, you're less likely to have the pain because you're not so tense. And this stuff is cheap. I mean, you can get this pretty much anywhere, but I wanted to kind of order everything from the same website so I didn't have to go to multiple places. These are 4 ounces, and this is Anise Seed, whole anise. I love the smell of this stuff. And then cinnamon chips. I do not ground this up. I don't do anything to it. I just put it in my tea whole and I let it just brew with hot water. Next one is fennel seeds. And these are whole fennel seeds, and it's 4 ounces. And you can kind of see this has been used for 4 months and there's still quite a bit in here. Ginger. I love ginger as it is. I usually use ginger in a lot of things. I'm not going to really go into each ingredient and kind of like health benefits and all of that. I really want you guys to do your own research so you know what these ingredients do in your body. I feel like if you guys are interested, you really need to be informed on what you're putting in your body. Dong Quai root. This stuff, I hate the way it smells. It literally is very strong. Like, let me smell it. Yeah, I mean, you smell this stuff and you're like, that's quality, because it's like intense. It's intense. Little ones here are 4 ounces or 114 grams. So the only other thing that I could not find in a powder form or in like the pure form was juniper. And I couldn't find it in like the bag or anything. So I was like, well, let me just buy it in this little dropper. And so whenever my tea is done brewing, I just take an entire one of these, just one for each time, and it's very strong. There were 2 things that I couldn't find. I could not find Chaste treeberry at all on this site, actually. Another name for Chaste treeberry is Vitex. So I honestly just went to Sprouts and I bought it in a pill form. I take this every day with my multi and all of the other stuff that I will show you that I incorporate into my daily routine. It's 400 milligrams of Chaste treeberry, and this was also in that yogi tea. So instead of putting in my tea, I just take it as a daily supplement so that I know I'm kind of getting all of the ingredients. So how often am I drinking this tea? I do try to start drinking it about 2 weeks prior to my cycle, and I try to have like a cup a day. And honestly, that little teapot that I'm gonna link down for you, I would probably recommend a bigger one, and I like to make a big batch, and it usually will last me about 3 days. So each little time that I make my tea, it gives me 3 days worth. Honestly, if I drink it 3 times a week, I have noticed a significant decrease in pain. I honestly haven't had too much pain lately, which is amazing because I was at a 10 and now I'm like at a 2. Only time that I get pain is around ovulation, and it's pretty intense pain and bloating and the endo bloat, and then I get a lot of pressure pains in like the rectal area and things like that. So honestly, it's pretty intense to where it hurts to walk sometimes, and I just know that I'm ovulating because I use an app on my phone, and I will also put that down in the description box for you guys. It's called Hormonology, and it kind of tells you like how you can expect to feel on certain days of your cycle. So it looks like this. You put in what the first day of your cycle is, and then it will go through and tell you like what day you're on, when your ovulation is, and that kind of thing based on how long your cycle is. I can say that since being off birth control, I used to have a 28-day cycle, and now I'm on a 26-day cycle. Based on that, I know when my ovulation is going to be, and I kind of know what I need to do and what I need to put in my body. Good sleep, drink a lot of water, exercise. I cut out all gluten. I try to do that on a daily basis, but very particularly around the time that I ovulate, because I do feel like it is an inflammatory agent for me. So I cut out all gluten, and then I do start taking my anti-inflammatories around that time as well. Other stuff as far as the anti-inflammatories that I like to take, I was reading this girl's post, and I will put her her Instagram handle down in the description box because I love her posts. Her name is Endo Fertility Dietitian, so she kind of teaches you how to eat based on kind of what you have going on. So she posted this thing and she was talking about aspirin. I'm a registered nurse, so of course I know these things. I would kind of alternate between Tylenol and ibuprofen. They just aren't always the best to be taking so consistently. Like ibuprofen can cause bleeding, Tylenol can cause liver issues if you take too much of it. So, I mean, it's something that I just would use around my cycles anyway, so it's not like I was taking it like every single day for like months and months. But she posted this thing that I thought was very interesting, and then it took me back to my pharmacology days. Basically, aspirin works better to take away your pain for endometriosis because it decreases production of prostaglandins. So do your research on that, but that might be something too that you might consider switching to if that works well for you and your health conditions and all of those things. So when you guys research endometriosis, or just honestly having a period and being a woman in general, you probably have seen a lot of links between digestive health and pain. There are a lot of women who have endometriosis and they also have IBS, or irritable bowel syndrome. So when I kind of learned the link between digestive health and endometriosis, I learned how important a daily probiotic is. And so I will show you guys all of my supplements that I take on a daily basis. Obviously, the tea that I do drink is also a dietary supplement that I'm taking. So my probiotic that I use is Garden of Life, and you guys have probably seen this one. It's pretty popular. I get it at Sprouts. This is probably the lower strain. They can get pretty pricey, but this one works great for me. The next thing that I want to talk about is having a good multivitamin. It's very important, especially if you are a woman who is planning on having a baby in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years or whatever. You really want to make sure you're taking your folic acid, which obviously will come in a multivitamin. So the one that I use is by Whole Earth NC, and it's Pure Food Women's Multivitamin. I really recommend this one as just a really good all-around multivitamin. I will link all of these things in the description box, and you guys can decide for yourself if it would work for you. The next thing that I recommend is having omega-3s, and this one is my absolute favorite brand. They also have one that has primrose oil in it it's the same brand, and it's fish oil, but it's called I think it's called Women's Omega or something like that. I'll link it. I haven't been able to find it recently, but if I do find it, I will link it down below. It has primrose oil. You guys can do your research on that, about what those benefits are. I feel like I could do an entire 2 videos on health benefits of all of these things, and that's just not really my aim. It's more just to show you what I take and what's currently working for me. So having a good omega is key. And then the other thing that I take is this liver health stuff. I do want to talk about the link between your liver and estrogen. Your liver is what filters estrogen out of your body, and endometriosis is an estrogen-driven disease. So if you don't have good liver health, you're going to harbor more estrogen. I take a liver supplement. If you guys know anything about that, milk thistle is probably the best one. This particular one I get from Sprouts, and it does have milk thistle, artichoke, fennel, a lot of these things that I kind of already take, right? I will put, if I find this one because it's at Sprouts, I will put it in the description box as well. But I do take this every single morning in just a water bottle. If you guys follow me on Instagram, you've probably seen my morning concoction, but I always take it with my chlorophyll. But it's literally green. It helps build red blood cells, thus giving you more energy. But I always take 1 dropper of this, full dropper of my liver stuff, and then about 15 drops of my chlorophyll, and that's what I have every single morning. So one last little bit that I do want to talk about is just kind of like where you guys are at with your own journey is really important when you're considering what you want to do. Me being 27, I haven't had my baby yet, and I do want to have a child within the next year or two, and you might already be done having your kids. So just kind of knowing where you're at is really important. Really take some time to meditate and see where you are with yourself. I feel like that's really important, to listen to your body. When I was in my nursing program, I was not doing that. I was kind of just going through the motions to get through a really tough time in my life. And that's something that I really wanted to be conveyed throughout this video. We take the time to just be and breathe and listen to ourselves, we can find out a lot more than all of the noise around us. Whether you're just wanting to know what it's like to get off your birth control pill, or if you actually have endometriosis and you're trying to find a natural way to manage it, maybe some of these products will help you. If you want to know more about getting off the birth control pill, I would say the first thing to do is talk to your doctor. Try other methods, try other pills. I don't think any woman should have to go through every single day of taking a pill that is just not working for them. Whether you're gaining weight, yes, that is a valid reason to get off the pill if you feel like it's affecting your life. Acne, mood swings, affecting your personal relationships. I mean, all of these things are valid reasons, and I just don't feel like any woman should have to just put up with it to be on the pill. There are other pills out there. I'm definitely not against the birth control pill. I do think it can be amazing for the right person if you're on the right pill. But again, that takes quite a bit of time for most women to try to find a pill that works for them, their lifestyle, and as you know, there are other methods of birth control as well. I did talk a lot about endometriosis with this video just because that has been a personal struggle for me, as I know a lot of women go through the pain of endo silently, and I thought that it would be a relevant topic to discuss here on YouTube just because it's not well studied. They don't know what causes endometriosis. They don't really know how to help women with endometriosis, and it's a frustrating disease. My personal journey, I hope, just sheds some light on knowing that there are other women out there dealing with these things and should be talked about more. I hope this video was helpful to you women out there. Please leave me questions, comments, or concerns. You can always message me privately if you feel inclined to do so. I would love to hear from you guys. And thank you so much for staying tuned for this long video, but bye guys.